Good morning, guys. We are going to talk about that new for loop that you learned about yesterday, the one that goes range, low, high, step. You already know how for loops work, and you're going to realize real quick that this actually doesn't give you any new skills. It just makes your life a little bit easier. So remember when we first talked about for loops, we talked about how, okay, let's say if I wanted to make a label, I want to say bunnies are fluffy. And I want it to be centered right here, halfway across the canvas, so 200, and I'm going to put it at 0, so it's going to be a little bit cut off. And let's say I want the size to be, I don't know, we'll make it a size of 25. There we go. There's my bunnies are fluffy, but I don't want just one bunnies are fluffy. I want it to repeat over and over and over again and over again across the canvas. So I could make a new label, copy and paste this a whole bunch of times, and then go and manually change. Let's say I want it to go down by 20s every time, each of these numbers, but that's a huge pain in the butt. So we talked about how you can use a for loop instead. You could say for I in range, and then put how many times you want it to repeat. Let's say I want it to repeat 10 times. And we need to indent this. And what's going to happen now is it's going to repeat this 10 times, and this letter I is going to change numbers each time. It's going to start at 0, then it's going to go to 1, then it's going to go to 2, etc., etc., etc. And this doesn't need to be the letter I. This could be the word pizza, for example. Okay. All right, so again, we saw this last time. It did make 10 of them, but it put them all in the exact same spot because we didn't change our location at all. They're all at 200, 0. So what we could do is, since this word pizza is storing a different number in it each iteration, we could take this pizza and put it here at the height. So now our first height is going to be at 0. Our next height is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. All right, but this is where we had this issue last time where, it did make 10 of them, but they're all bunched together, right? And it's really annoying. And so what we did last time is we said, well, we could take this pizza and multiply it by 20, right? And it kind of spaces them out a little bit more. But that's what this does. It actually gives us a shortcut to get there, and it makes it a little bit easier to read your code, I think. So let's say we want it to do this. Let's say we want it to go up by 20s. That's going to be our step. And we want our lowest spot to be 0, so that's going to be our low. And we want our highest spot to be the one that would come right after 180, which would be 200. So let's do that. Let's put our lowest. We want it to still start at 0. Let's put our highest to be 200, and we want it to go up by 20s every time. There we go. It looks exactly the same. But now what we can do is, let's say we want it to go up higher. Let's say we want it to go up to 400. Okay, we could do that 400. All right, and notice there is never actually one at 400. It never does the very last one. It always goes right up until the end. Let's say we want it to only go up to 100. What's going to be our last iteration? 80. Okay, there we go. So we've got 0, 20, 40, 60, and 80. Let's say you did want it to go up to that 100. What could you do? Well, you could change this to 120, but you could also just change this to 101. You just need it to be a little bit higher than 100, and then it'll play for you. Okay, so you can change your for loops around much more easily like this. You could make this a 3. There we go. Now it's going up by 3s. You could make this a 15, and you could make this a 350. There we go. So you have a lot more options now. Instead of having to find your thing and do your times, whatever, you don't have to do any math. It's very easy to tell what's going on in your for loop, and it's just another way to design these and make them nice and easy to follow.